Hi guys, welcome back to the Fantasy Chancer, the fantasy football show we bring you here on the Upper Tier podcast each and every week, except last week, which I missed. But we are going to get back on the saddle tonight and we are going to look back at game week 3. So last week I had 1 second there now. Okay, so I went with Matt Turner in goals last week. He made a good few saves against Manchester United, finished on 3 points. Sandro Martinez only finished on one as well. He's had a bit of a disaster this season with the OGs and just the poor performances in general by Manchester United. So I've taken him out, which we will get to later. Dan Burn, unfortunately, and William Saliba only on 1 point as well. I finished on 45 last week. Normally, when I'm doing fantasy football, I like to finish on at least 50 a week. So 45, not quite up to scratch. Mo Salah, 5 points. Marcus Rashford popped up with 7 points last week, which was important because I felt like, will I take him out? Will I leave him in? But he popped up with the goods last week. Matoma, unfortunately, only one. And Bukayo Saka, yet again, delivers the goods, as does Eddie Nketiah. But I expect Eddie possibly to come out of the team for the weekend against Manchester United. But at the same time, he has been playing well. He came off the bench last week. The whole Kai Havertz inverted forward thing last week didn't work for Arsenal. Erling Haaland missed a penalty but made up for it with a goal, finished on 8 points. And Ollie Watkins again getting the points in with another goal for Villa. So, sorry, it was an assist he got. So that was me last week, 45 points. And now we're just going to have a quick look at the league tables. Early days, early days. If you want to join the league, just get in contact with myself or Niall and we will put you in the league. So the upper tier, I am 5th at the moment in the upper tier fantasy football league. So Jeff, as you can see there, is top at the moment with 190 points. Not too far off the top myself on 176 at the moment. And you can see Darren is right up there at the moment as well with Gareth Murdoch, who I always say is the bassist in the band Ailstorm. And if you haven't checked out Ailstorm ever, I recommend checking out Ailstorm. They do pirate rock music and they're based out of Belfast and they're touring the world all the time. Really, really, really nice guys. And delighted to have Gareth on board as well, but it's for this season. So early days, I don't think we need to focus on the league table too much at this point. So I'm just going to go into my team for next week and discuss what I have done. So in goals, again, I am going with Matt Turner. And the reason I am going with Matt Turner is because he's cheap and cheerful. 4 million. You're not going to get a keeper for 4 million that's going to play every game this year, but Matt Turner is that guy. Will his valuation go up? Maybe not. It depends on how well Nottingham Forest can keep clean sheets this season, which could be tricky with all the comings and goings that they have at the moment as well. So I've got William Saliba in defence, Manchester United. This will all depend on what way Arsenal set up. If they're playing Thomas Partey right back, Ben White centre back, Kai Havertz in the middle of the park, we're going to be susceptible to conceding goals. If he switches back to the formation from last season and hooks Kai Havertz out of the team, then I think we have a chance keeping a clean sheet against Manchester United because they are looking a little bit bleak up top, you know, when you're starting Anthony Martial in the last game, so on and so forth. Martial will pop up with goals every now and then, but he's not the guy to take Manchester United forward. So I feel if we revert to what we done last season, I think that we can get a clean sheet in this game and get a win as well. If we don't, then it's going to be a totally different game because then you're going to have Thomas Partey out at right back potentially, and Ten Hag could put Rashford on him, and then Arsenal would be in trouble, to say the least. Beside him, then I've went for Sergio Romero. So I've taken Sandro Martinez out of my team and I've put Sergio Romero in because I think that Spurs are going to be a very, very organised team this season. And I think they need to really, really give their manager a chance. The only problem I can foresee in the future for Tottenham is the goals up the top of the park. How do you replace Harry Kane? Simple answer is he isn't replaceable. But the fact that they haven't got an extra body in and are relying on Richarlison to get them goals, down the road, you would think that that is going to cause problems. Beside him, then I've got with Dan Burn, Brighton away. I expect there to be goals in that game. I don't expect a clean sheet out of Dan Burn this weekend, but he does pop up with the odd goal and he is pretty decent with assists as well. So in the middle of the park, then we got Mo Salah, Aston Villa. That is going to be a corker of a game on Sunday with Villa and Liverpool. So I've went with Mo Salah there. Marcus Rashford does like a game against Arsenal. As I said previously, if Arsenal set up in a certain way, Rashford will have a lot of freedom in this game. Mitoma then as well, Newcastle. I think that's going to be a pretty open game as well. And I think Niall said just tonight when he was on with Henry there that it could be a 2-2. I can foresee something like that as well. And then you got Bukayo Saka there. Seems to be the penalty taker again now for Arsenal. He seems to be the man of the moment for Arsenal, really. So happy enough to have him in there as well. And like his valuation for a player that plays every week for Bukayo Saka is actually pretty decent if you go in here. So his valuation is 8.7 million at the moment, which I think is very, very good for a player that is going to be playing every game. He's rarely injured as well. So I think Saka's a really, really good one. Now, up front, I may have problems this week. So I won't have problems with Erling Haaland. He's just got to be your captain every week because you're at the stage now. Whereas if you don't put him as your captain, you're going to fall behind because he's just going to keep scoring. So if I wasn't having captain and he gets 3 goals this week, then I'm behind, double behind because of the captaincy points. So Erling Haaland's the captain again. Ollie Watkins, Liverpool, he will cause them problems. And with Virgil van Dijk out of team as well for this weekend, it's going to be very, very interesting game between Villa and Liverpool. Some real corkers like for this week. If you look at Villa, Liverpool, Newcastle, Brighton, Arsenal, Man United, it's going to be a cracker of a week. Now, my third striker is Eddie Nketiah. And I was of the opinion of putting Eddie in at the start because Jesus is injured. So why not go with Eddie? Problem is now that Jesus is fit again. So what does he do? I actually think with Eddie Nketiah, he has got a couple of goals this season. He's missed a few big chances as well. And that's kind of part of his game. And I think that Arsenal still need a striker. We're not going to get one at this point. But I feel that with Eddie in there, I think he will play. The reason I think he'll play was because he scored a last-minute winner last year against Manchester United. And I think that with the start he's made to the season, I think it would be unfair to drop him. So I reckon Eddie will be in there to start against Manchester United. Can he get a goal? We'll have to wait and see. So then on the bench, Bernd Leno, don't foresee him keeping a clean sheet against Manchester City. George Baldock possibly could go into my team. That they're playing Everton. Everton, no goals, no wins, 3 games. Things are looking bad for them. So on the flip side of things, like if you were to put Baldock in there, who would you take out? Maybe Dan Burn. Let's do that. This is let's switch. We haven't done this live on a show before. Boom. Let's switch Baldock for Dan Burn because I think Brighton will score. Will save the team. And then to round out the defence then, or to round out the bench rather, I have Makamba from Luton. And Luton have been pretty poor so far. And Sven Botman, who's carrying a knock into that game. So that is basically what I'm going to go for this week. Don't forget, guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Upper Tier Podcast. Well over the 1,000 now. Marching all the way to 2,000. Looking forward to Darren getting back next week. And I'll see you again, guys, next week. And I hope your team wins this weekend, unless you support Man United.